I'm sorry, but we gotta do a part three. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to Mr. Cancer. So I'm doing a part three because again, we have a lot. We have a lot to cover. A lot to cover. I really try to put under 15 minutes. Part one and part two. That's 15 minutes. That should be because I have to cut to the chase. I want to make my videos very effective that you can use. But we're gonna jump right in. And we're going to continue to talk about Mr. Cancer. We left off at the fact that he really goes through many lunar phases. We talked about 4, then 8, and then 28 tinctures. Together being 48 different types of mood swings, which you might think that he has different personalities like Mr. Gemini, that really does have multiple personalities. That's not the case with Mr. Cancer. These are lunar phases. This is why I took so much time to explain about the moon. Because if you can understand and accept what you have to, as humans, we have to accept that the moon is what it is. So therefore, if you're now going to refute the truth of the moon, then you cannot refute the truth of the personality and ego of Mr. Cancer, which reflects these cosmic lunar principles. So if you're going to be with a Cancer man, understand that he comes ready-made. And he don't need you. So he can feel complete about himself. He's got his mother, a subject we're going to touch upon later. And even when she's gone, physically, and you replace her, his psychological makeup, which allowed him to fall into your footsteps as a woman who then marries him, was founded upon the psychological philosophy of his mother, Cancer. So even though she's gone, psychologically, he's going to carry her philosophy. And for you to replace that means that you're going to have to invest more into the deal. He's often accused of being mean and grumpy, right? He's often accused of that, but he truly is not. You see, the issue is, in reality, that he is very tender and sensitive and often feels that he is exposed. Okay, he doesn't like to feel exposed, and I believe that I touched upon that in the last cycle. And he gets kind of crabby and kind of moody and bitchy. And when he gets like that, which he can be at his worst, understand that that's when he feels most vulnerable. He feels most vulnerable. So what's he gonna do? The crack. He's going to become cantankerous, and he's going to become bitchy and crabby, and he's going to be so distasteful that you don't want to be near him. You scat, because that's exactly what he wants to do when and he usually does that when he responds to being hurt. And that hurt doesn't have to be real. It could be imagined in his head. Because cancers can imagine some shit in their head that ain't really happening. And they will, Cancer is dangerous, I'm telling you. The emotional responses to life doesn't even have to mean or be what they think it is. It could be something else. But if they get that impression and nothing you can do, no one to change that perspective in them. And that goes for the woman too. So understand that Mr. Cancer truly deep down doesn't want to be exposed, and then when he's most vulnerable, he can become really, really dangerous and difficult to deal with. If he ever becomes emotionally afraid, he'll become crabby and he'll become quite mean and unbearable. And anyone within a certain proximity of him will hide from him, will flee from him. You have to be careful of your feelings too when you're around him, because he can read them as clearly as you can see through a glass of water. So if you feel a certain way about him, be careful. Don't get near him, because he's gonna pick it up. He's gonna read your thoughts. Yeah, this man is no joke. He's really something else. He's really something else. One virtue which people don't really talk about concerning Cancer is his love of money. His love of money. He is very serious about it and thinks about it constantly. He can be dangerous with that. He's a fantastic moneymaker to start with. He loves to save money, but spend someone else's money, that he'll do. He loves to save money. That to him is an aphrodisiac than it is to spend money. But he'll spend somebody else's money, I'll tell you that, okay? He never shows it, though. He never shows how much desire and love he has for money. He'll never show you that, okay? Sometimes he can help it, okay? He can help it. Money can give him a boner faster than you opening up your trench coat with nothing underneath. Girl, you'll get your feelings hurt. Okay? You want this man to get a boner? Talk to him about money, or even show him money. This man goes crazy about money. For sure. For sure. Okay? He is instinctual. That's another thing that people forget about Cancer. This man functions on instincts. He's instinctual and can smell an opportunity like nobody's business. Understand that he's pulling from the opposite polarity, Capricorn, the sign of the elite, the business, the devil. He's gonna get things done. Okay? Don't be to him. What did I put there? Don't lie to him. That's what that goes down. Don't lie to him, because he's gonna spot a lie in a New York minute. There's no way that you can deceive him and lie to him and then you get away with it, okay? He can tell if you're lying or making up a story. All water signs can feel a liar when they see or hear one, and they hear the lie, okay? And he will never tell you about it either. He makes an emotional inventory of those around him and will decide if he wants to be bothered with you. So you see, and that's a Capricorn tactic, okay? He wants to know who his friends really are and who his enemies better, okay? This man is a strategist. He'll cry broke and make you feel sorry for him. Don't be, though. He's magical. He's a magician when it comes to attracting money. And a real con man in denying it. He'll deny it. But that motherfucker got money coming in. That motherfucker knows how to make money. Let me tell you. Don't fuck with his money. Don't fuck with this man's money. Because this man brings in that money. I get jealous. And I'm Earth. And the money is supposed to be easy coming through. It never does. Not with Virgo. That Cancer and Cap, they got that on lockdown. Mr. Taurus gets the money. He holds the money. But Capricorn and Virgo deal with transactional money and tangible assets, while Taurus deals with intangible assets. Understand that every modality of the signs has a psychological response to money. And Cancer, they are fantastic money makers. Fantastic money makers. Yes, that Cancer Capricorn polarity, And that can make cancers greedy. In fact, the vice of greed is a cancer. And Capricorn, vice. Just like diabetes is a disease and illness of Taurus because they love sweets. Every sign has a vice and it becomes a source of illness in the body for that particular sign. So understand that with Cancer, greed is a potential vice that he carries within him. And it could come from many lifetimes because it's about bloodline. That money, listen, it is serious business with this man. The same with Capricorn. They pull from each other, okay? So understand that. If you watch the show American Greed, you should watch that show. Those are Cancer, Capricorn types. With a little Scorpio here and a little Aries or Virgo there. But basically no, because it deals with high money, high crime and sophistication, and even institutionalized corruption. Cancer falls under the dominion of all of that, along with Capricorn. So understand how powerful that is. Okay? He spends money strategically, very strategically, and he's also quite extravagant too. And that could sound like a contradiction in terms, but it's true. And I'll tell you how that operates within him. Okay? But with him, it all depends on why and how he spends it. For example, he would rather spend $300 on a dinner at the Russian Tea Room. It's a nice restaurant. I've eaten there. It's actually pretty expensive. I mean, you go with friends, you're easily going to spend like $5,000 at that restaurant. Especially if you buy the bottles and it has to be a genuine vintage bottle. You're going to spend money. And if you're a millionaire, a couple of $1,000s for a dinner doesn't mean anything to you. Okay? This is the type of spending that Cancer and Capricorn, the sign of the elite, are willing to spend on one night. Now, that doesn't mean that he spends money like water and that he's irresponsible about money. No. You totally misunderstand Mr. Cancer. He'll spend that kind of money because he's got that kind of champagne taste. Remember, he's pulling from Capricorn, the elite, the wealthy, the powerful, cardinal earth. So he feels that he can give himself these advantages and these perks, and to the woman that he's with. He'll rather spend that money than to go to BBQs, which is a franchise and the food is generic. Oh, no. But he'll be conservative and even downright frugal in other things. But when it comes with his personal tastes and personal desires, he puts no hold on that. Everything else, he'll be very business and managerial with his money. And your money too. But when it comes to his money, oh no, he's going to spend it the way he wants. And it's usually about the pleasures of life. You understand that the water signs enjoy sensual pleasures, which is why they enjoy sex the most of all the elements. The good life, the good money, the good sex, all that belongs to water. And we're dealing with cardinal water. So that's a sense of entitlement here with Mr. Cancer. He believes that he deserves the best in life, and he's going to go and get it, and nobody's going to do to stop him or convince him otherwise. That's ingrained in him. And he's going to want a bitch that's going to resonate that same ambition that he has within him. Otherwise, you cannot be with a Cancer man if you're not a woman about getting to a means to an end, about money and about ambition. Because this man is all about ambition. And when I tell you that money is serious business with this man, believe it. Believe it. Okay? So that's what I mean about he could be very paradoxical on how he spends his money. Okay? Now, his clothing style is very couture. This is the type of Cancer man that will spend money, not because the brand is like thousands of dollars, but, they'll be tailored. They'll be done by the best tailors. The suits will be very couture. The clothes very vintage. It's a matter of personal taste. He will dress and groom himself like a billionaire. Even though he's only a guy who works at McDonald's or works at a franchise, it doesn't even make minimum wage. It's an attitude with Mr. Cancer. This man feels very entitled, and he will act that way even if he's got no money at the moment, because you're never going to meet a cancer man that's broke. And if he is, then the universe is trying to teach him something, and it's a momentary thing. But this is a cardinal sign, and they do not fuck with that money. If you meet a cancer that Christ broke, don't believe his ass. Don't believe it. It's not true. These people know how to wield power and know how to attract money to them. Effortlessly. I had to say that. They have conservative tastes in their grooming. Like I said, cufflinks, the whole nine. And what? I don't got enough bourbon here to I'm telling you, it's loosening up. It's something else. It's something else with this man. He has for sure a formality about him. And you can see that in his wardrobe. Okay? Again, he's pulling from Capricorn, the sign of the elite. Oh, yeah. I tell you. And of course, and then there's the issue of mother. We cannot talk about the Cancer man if we don't go into details about mother. Okay? Don't be surprised if she shows up in conversation every once in a while. Don't be surprised if he still lives with her. Don't be surprised if even after having moved out and on his own, still gets his laundry done at his mother's. Or even eats at mother's. Don't be surprised, okay, if he even pays the bills at mother's. Don't be surprised if he makes statements that might come across as comparison or criticism. Don't be surprised if he cancels on you to do something for mother. He will be reluctant in making you the new queen in his life and replace his mother, because it means that he will have to replace her permanently, both physically and psychologically. And that's going to take some doing. In the end, you will have to be patient. Okay? There are two types of Cancer men. Those who love their mothers and are close to them, and those who hate them, hate their mothers, and have been alienated by them. This creates a psychology which will define that kind of Cancer man you got. It'll be a little rough. You always find an extreme with Cancer. Men that grow up hating their mothers and men that grow up hating their mother and their father, because Cancer rules both the parental axis. And those who love their mothers. It really does create two types of psychologies in a man. Both types furnish a different psychology, creates two different types of men. The one who hates his mother is isolated emotionally from her, has experienced trauma from early in childhood, okay, and it will create a man who doesn't respond to women and doesn't respect women and will seek to humiliate them. Okay, and this could be both consciously or unconsciously driven in the psyche of the person. Okay, the one who loves his mother and feels safe within her bosoms may come from a smothering mother. Okay, that's making it difficult for him to leave the nest. Okay, the mama's boys. That's a breed that springs forth the mama's boys. Okay, this type of man will attract another smothering mother. A smother that's a type. Okay, a woman who will be very maternal and traditional in every way, reminding him of going back to the womb. The traumatized man will most likely attract a castrating mother. Okay, and a castrated mother type, and not award him the peaceful home to come to, the peaceful state of mind. In either case, his complex relationship with his mother will eventually reach your doorstep, and you will have no choice but to deal with that situation. It's not something that you can ignore as a woman. Know that he has complex needs, and as long as he is still tied psychologically to his mother, he will not be available to you emotionally. But these are the psychological aspects of Cancer. One thing about Cancer men, they love being in the company of women. They love being in the company of women, and they don't have to give you a reason. They don't have to give you an excuse. And women usually don't dismiss them or shoo them away. The women actually enjoy them. These men can be extremely comfortable in the presence of women, and they can be emotionally able to express themselves. And I had a friend who used to do that. His whole company was women, and loved them and did everything with them. But he was a guy, you know. Eventually, he kind of sex all of them, But he has a fascination with women, and he connects to women in a way that men do not understand or don't even care to understand. The Cancer man also has an inner feminine that sometimes allows him to become more emotionally feminine and open and available. But again, this is something that when it does happen and you experience that, is beautiful. But that's going to take time because he is completely untrusting of it of his own emotions. So if you're dealing with a man who's one thing that I do gotta say, they can be whores. They can be whores when they're not committed. But the minute that they commit, they are interested in securing a family, developing a foundation. You couldn't do any better if you chose this man as a mate. Because let me tell you, very few women will trade up a man like that. They will deal with his inconsistencies and his moods if they have to. Because at the end of the day, the Cancer man is going to see to it that you never lack anything, you never want for anything, and that there's always prosperity in your life. Oh, look, the sun is making a dial. It's about 4:19, so it looks, that's fascinating that that's happening like that. Well, anyway, I'm done with Mr. Cancer, and now we're gonna move on to Scorpio.